But like, does anyone have a link to that relatively old Reddit post that had like the roadmap of characters with like their base role? Yeah, this thing. Right, so we're gonna approach this with the assumption that this was not fake, right? It's very possible it's fake, but whatever, right? And maybe the order is wrong, but for now, let's just assume that the basic description of the characters is accurate, right? What if all of the characters here are meant to be meta characters? So, during strong off-field support, right? A strong off-field pyro support like this, likely going to be used in Milani teams, in Varissa and other electro carry teams, maybe in Kinich teams. Doesn't really affect the current strong meta teams, but will make the like third team options a lot stronger if he's very powerful. Nefer, Dendro main DPS, Lunar Bloom, gonna be with Loma. Also doesn't really have too much overlap with current strong meta teams, most likely. But like, wait, let me open Paint. Right? Let's just look at the team DPS. Right now, we have Moika, that's like here. We have Skirk, that's like here. We have Varissa, that's like here. We have Flynn's, that's like here. Why is Flynn's light purple? Because Lunar Charge is slightly different color. We have Molani, that's like here. We have Kinich, that's like here. I'm not including Chaska for now. I only want to include characters that would actually get noticeably affected by these. And we have Loma, that's like here. Maybe a bit higher, but whatever. And I'm not going to include Neuvillette because let's be so for real right now. Neuvillette is just Loma now. Sorry, but this is the power of meta characters. This is C0R0 team DPS of the characters in the current state of the game, more or less. There's a lot of approximations, but anyways, we don't know how good Nefer is going to be, right? But most likely she'll at least be a small upgrade to the Loma teams, and only to the Loma teams here. So she's probably bringing it up like this, perhaps. We don't know how good Durin is going to be, but Durin is also probably a small upgrade to a lot of these teams, right? So the Varissa team, the Milani team, the Kinich team, right? They're likely, assuming, because again, right, this is with the assumption that all of these characters end up being meta characters, they're likely all getting an upgrade. Columbina, definitely going to be good, but we don't know how good. But she's also probably going to be an upgrade, assuming this is accurate, and she is a support, right? Be like this, and then maybe here, but I'm not too sure about this one yet, so I'll make it smaller, right? Then Varka, and if Varka's good, then we'll make a new one, right? But the problem is we don't know, even if he ends up being good, there's a very good chance that Varka ends up having team overlap with currently released characters, right? If he's lunar focused, there's probably going to be overlap with the Loma and Flynn's teams. If he's attack focused, there's going to be overlap with Moika teams. If he's a damage percent character that like really wants Farina, there's going to be overlap with Skirk. But this one's a big question mark. And then finally, there's going to be Nicole and Alice, right? And if Nicole is a cryo support, she's probably going to be an option for a lot of teams. But will she be an upgrade for these teams? I'm not sure, because we don't know what direction they're going to take with her design, but it could be a small upgrade to these teams. Probably wouldn't be used in those, maybe in the Varka teams, perhaps, who knows. And then when Alice comes out, if she is indeed meant to be played with Nicole, that would add a last one here with Nicole. Anyways, point being, right, in this roadmap, most of these characters don't look like they have the best synergy with the current strongest teams, with Moika and Skirk. Their basic, like, design doesn't seem like it'll have that much synergy with Moika and Skirk teams. And because of that, what I'm expecting to see in the coming few patches, assuming this is accurate, is the, like, strongest possible teams going from pretty clearly Moika and then fairly clearly Skirk and then kind of an option for the third one to a lot muddier. Probably Moika still first, but maybe not by that much depending on how strong Columbina is for Flynn's and Loma teams and other potential future Nod-Krai characters, right? But that second team, because Skirk doesn't seem like she's gonna get that many upgrades from this, because if Alice is focused on melt reactions, if Alice and Nicole are focused around making a new melt team, it's very possible that Nicole doesn't work well with Skirk. And it's also, personally, from this, I'm kind of expecting Nicole as an off-field damage dealer, focus around reverse melt and melting her own damage rather than melting Alice, and Alice being an enabler for that, kind of like International but in 2026. But if that's the case, then neither the Moika or the Skirk team will likely see an upgrade from those characters. And instead, all the other current strong teams, right, they're all getting pretty close to what a Skirk team is currently at, right? This one's a tiny bit above, this one's an okayish amount above, this one's a tiny bit below, this one's a tiny bit below, this one's a decent amount above, but not too high. And then these are like completely speculative, so we don't know yet, right? These two. But the point I'm trying to make with this is, I honestly don't expect the DPS ceiling to raise that much in Nod-Krai, but I expect the competition for that ceiling to get much, much closer. I think by the end of Nod-Krai, Mawiko won't be an outlier anymore. That's my prediction right now. Obviously, this isn't based in like data we currently have. This is just what I'm expecting them to do, right? Take it with a grain of salt, but that's kind of what I'm expecting right now. And if that expectation does turn out to be true, then a lot of the characters that are very strong and very valuable for an account right now will be a lot less valuable a year from now. Because like, yeah, right now, Escoffier is really, really good for an account. But if this whole thing turns out to be true, then, well, you have a Malika team, you have a Skirk team, you have a Flynn's team. They're all around the Skirk level or higher. And so getting Escoffier doesn't do shit for you. It gives you more options for your teams, but it doesn't really give you stronger ones. And the more different options we have, the lower the value of those really, really powerful characters. It's not an excuse, but it's generally a miracle it took 4 to 5 years to get to this point on the gacha. It is. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, this is the sort of stuff that, like, it sucks that we're getting actual power creep now because, like, you're a Wanderer player nowadays. Your C6 R5 Wanderer is gonna be weaker than a fucking C0 R0 new carry with their good teams. But outside of that, even characters like Chiori, for example, say you really like Chiori, you went for her knowing that she was kind of just an okay option. Well, now okay options don't cut it anymore. Her scissors lost their edge. They don't cut it no more. On the bright side, at least, there are some older characters that still shine because of their synergy with new characters. And I do think that's something they try to do. Like, they often try to make characters that are designed to work well with old ones. So I don't think these characters are, like, necessarily completely cooked. But, yeah, still not great either. Like, who? I mean, Ayaka, Nilo, Shenhe, Kokomi, Raiden. Although it's a bit outdated now. Xiao. Maybe it did in a way, since if he didn't work with the newest characters, he would have been gone already. I suppose. Sure. Can I replace Inefo with Raiden or Auron in the Navidad team? You can, but it'll be worse. In teams where you do not on-field Llama, you'll get less Hyper Blooms, and you'll basically get 1 or 2 Hyper Blooms for each Dendro application, and you get 1 every 2 seconds, right? That's 1 to 2 Hyper Blooms every 2 seconds. With Inefa, because her Electro application is consistent every 2 seconds, the timing is gonna end up so that when you apply Dendro on enemies, they'll have both Hydro and Electro on them, so you'll get 2 seeds instead of only 1. With Raiden, because it's an inconsistent app every 3 seconds, right? Like, you hit every second, but you apply Electro every 3, and because of that inconsistency and that longer delay, you will end up with sometimes applying Dendro when there's only Hydro on the enemy, and when you do, you only get 1 seed instead of 2. Because the upper limit of seed generation is 2 every 2 seconds, that means that you don't get punished from Inefa only hitting every 2 seconds, because every time she hits, there's at most going to be 2 seeds, so she'll never get 3 seeds, right? Which is the problem generally with slower Electro hitters for Hyperbloom. So you'll never lose a Hyperbloom because you generated too many at the same time, and you will generate a larger amount in total. So with Inefa, you just get more seeds. On top of that, she's got a bit of personal damage. Whereas with Raiden, you get less. The reality is, even with the 15% crit rate, you lose a bit more than 15% of your Hyperbloons using Raiden instead of Inefa, so you actually get a little bit less Hyperbloom damage with Raiden. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. It's still a very playable team, and it's still gonna be one of Navidad's best teams, for sure. But it is worse than Inefa. But if you don't have her, you're fine. Like, you're completely fine if you don't have her. But don't use Auron. Auron is, like, awful in Hyperbloom.
Deuce on the loose!
Yeah!
Deuce on the loose!
Who's on the loose?